If you're new, press the bell icon to get the latest notifications.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Bitcoin video update. Alright, so sideways movement keeps on going sideways at this particular moment of time, and so something is going to actually have to give in for this sideways movement. There is a pattern still being created, kind of like want to be in play, but the resistance is now getting broken. Today is the holiday. Today's the day that people celebrate, and sometimes Bitcoin likes to make its move during the main holidays, and this is the last day of the week as well. We're about to close the weekly time frame at the moment, and I'm just going to take this particular level. It's like we're trying to break out of it. If you look at it this way, it's like it's making its break. It's like it's trying to move even a little bit higher. But then again, as I said before, it's kind of a tricky pattern here, because there are a lot of possibilities of someone to say that, hey, we do have this trend line, we do have the trend line like this, or maybe it's just like that. Okay, so to me, I think I'm just gonna be on the sideline, because I don't like to trade things that are not clear to be traded actually. And one thing here on the daily time frame, we are still below the bear flag, and could we actually move up just a little bit to take some stop losses? Could be possible. That's another thing to look at. Let's look at this weekly. All right, the weekly time frame though shows quite a positive sign, because if you look at this right now, this is actually making a doji right over there, by the way. Not good, not bad. Doji, decisive. You do know that doji, the nature of doji is actually to be a decisive candlestick right there, right? So you can actually go either way. You can use Bitcoin to move up or move down in the next coming week. But what I want to still focus on is the weekly time frame, because to me, the smaller time frame, they don't look any interesting. And I've looked and compared Bitcoin with USDT dominance, and I actually find out that you still came down like this, make that descending triangle, and you look to continue all the way down to $10,000. Now, with that said, let's actually look at the USDT dominance again, because here we are. So USDT dominance made this one pattern right there. So you have a pattern like this, down and move up, down and move sideways, and now you're looking to actually continue to 11.69% in the future. And you see, this is a little bit of a continuation pattern right there, and Bitcoin had a continuation pattern to the downside. USDT, however, had a continuation pattern to the upside. And as far as I see things, you have a little bit of this shooting star for USDT. That means in the next coming 7 days, we could just see a little bit of a drop for USDT dominance, and we could see Bitcoin climbing up a little bit actually, if it wants to climb up, of course, but it won't be a major climb. You can see that this is just going to be a little bit of a push down and then try to move up. So that tells me, if in the next 7 days or 6 days, when we reach the monthly closing of December, if we're not doing a lot, in the next 7 days, if you just do something like this a little bit, then that means in the first month of January, in the beginning of January, you could start to see this coin start to move up. And in the beginning of the month of January, or in the beginning of the year, we can actually start to see Bitcoin finally dropping down. So I give this month, I actually give this coin 1 month at best. Okay, 1 month at best, in my opinion. I do actually want to see gold as well. I don't know why I want to talk about gold, but I feel like I want to talk about gold this time around. So let's open up gold and let's look at gold. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe there's an influence of gold with cryptocurrency. Let's see. Gold and relation with Bitcoin. Does gold have a relationship with Bitcoin? So the correlation between Bitcoin and gold is viewed as an inflation hedge store of value. The strategist explained. So it's an inflation correlation right here. I kind of get the idea, perhaps. So inflation is when things go up. All right, so fine. Gold, nothing much here. SPX is another thing to talk about. So the last time I talked about SPX, we had this pattern right over there, where you move to the downside again, move up, came down, move up, came down. And I made an update talking about this being a very big resistance right here, and we could be looking for the SPX to drop to the downside. Now, if you look at SPX right now, you're meant to actually move lower to this support line as long as you're not going to break above this resistance. It would be really, really cool to see if SPX breaks above 4,122, backtest for 3,959, and then we could say actually there's a chance of Bitcoin has really bottomed out. So if you try to break out of it, try to move a little bit higher, and then from here, this is a whole bullish pattern, by the way. This is a descending broadening wedge, okay? So you're meant to really go back up to the all-time high once again, which you made back in December 2021, and that's when I'm gonna be quite confident that, hey, maybe that's the end of the bear market and then we start to move to the upside. That's the bullish scenario. The bearish scenario is that, you see, anytime you came down here, you try to move sideways like this, you came all the way to the downside. And then you push to the downside, you made that one small movement. Actually, look at this. When you move down, it starts here. When you move down, a little bit of a sideways. Move down here, a little bit of a sideways right there, move down again, move a little bit of a sideways, move down here, a little bit of this sideways again, and continues all the way down to the lowest part, which is 3,170. And the irony about this, I told you before, is that this is gonna be the biggest drop compared to this drop right here, that drop right there, and the first drop that happened right over here. This becomes the biggest one right over there. So that means whatever is coming up for Bitcoin, whenever it comes, it's gonna be a nasty one. So I'm gonna tell you that. And Bitcoin on every single corner does have nasty written all over it. Let's actually check Vanguard as well, because Vanguard is another one. So this was head and shoulder pattern that I last time made for Vanguard. Left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, break to the downside, met the technical target. Now I want to see if there's any more pattern left for Vanguard to go to the downside or not. So let's dive into the weekly as well, and let's look at the weekly time frame. So maybe SPX and Vanguard, they just have this two patterns right there. So this one being the upper resistance right over there, and then you have Vanguard to make something like this right over here. Now something tells me that next week, if you're not gonna dump next week, we might start to change after the next 7 days. If the next 7 days is gonna be good because of the doji and because you have 3 black crows. Now if you have 3 black crows, you could potentially make one small green candle in the next 7 days and then continue to the lowest part. Now I'd like to even see if Vanguard is gonna make it all the way down to this lowest part of support right there, bounce off here, come back up, break out, and then continue even higher. So let's see what happens in this space at the moment. It's all speculation right now, but I'm gonna still be on the sideways because nothing is interesting. Anything can switch very, very quickly right now. And that's pretty much it for this update on Bitcoin. I'm going to see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz.